Saakin, a dedicated environmental law enforcement officer working under the state environmental ministry, carried out his duties with honesty and strict discipline. His firmness, however, made him unpopular among roadside traders who constantly violated the law by using public spaces for their markets. One morning, forgetting it was a public holiday, Saakin instructed the market women to remove their goods from the roadside as he usually did. In retaliation, a disgruntled trader secretly took his photograph and reported him to his superiors, falsely accusing him of demanding money from them with the help of her husband, who was also an environmental officer. Without proper investigation, Saakin was abruptly dismissed from his duties. Though Saakin worshipped Sango, he avoided using dark or harmful spiritual practices, even against those who wronged him. But losing his job pushed him into deep depression. His wife noticed his silence and constant worry, repeatedly asking what was troubling him. After many sleepless nights, Saakin finally opened up to her and explained everything. His wife became even more distressed, angered by the injustice. Abike, Saakin's wife, could no longer bear the injustice done to her husband. Without Saakin's knowledge, she went straight to her father, an esteemed Ifa priest, and reported everything. Her father listened in silence, not interrupting as she poured out her anger and sorrow. Later, he called Saakin to hear the story from his own mouth. Saakin narrated everything, his voice filled with pain and confusion. The old man listened quietly, but as the tale unfolded, his breathing grew heavier, his face tightened, and his eyes darkened with a cold, controlled rage. When Saakin finished, Abike's father simply told him to leave. He spoke no words of comfort, no predictions, yet Abike understood her father too well. The silence was a warning, a promise, and a verdict. A week later, Saakin received a surprise call from the permanent secretary of the ministry. Fear and hope wrestled in his chest as he dressed, wondering whether things were finally falling back into place. He even called his father-in-law to inform him. But the moment Saakin stepped into the permanent secretary's office, he was met with mockery. The man hurled hateful words at him, threatened to have him arrested, and demanded he never return. Saakin stood there, stunned and speechless. Eventually, the permanent secretary ordered security to throw him out. Saakin was denied his salary for the month. His reputation, his pride, and his peace were completely shattered. Then the storm began. A few weeks later, the roadside seller who had falsely accused Saakin was struck by a speeding truck. The driver never stopped. Other market women rushed to help her, but she died instantly. News reached the Ministry of Environment. The permanent secretary recognized her name immediately. Before he could process the shock, another roadside trader, one of those who supported the lie, was knocked down in a similar hit-and-run accident. Panic spread like wildfire. Traders began removing their goods from the roadside without being told. The air was thick with fear and whispers. Something was moving, something unseen. The permanent secretary was still reeling from the two deaths when a new message came in. His own daughter had been involved in a fatal accident on her way home from school. His car key slipped from his hand as he collapsed where he stood. Sango had risen, and Sango's wrath was not selective. Everyone who had taken part in Saakin's downfall, those who lied, mocked, threatened, or enabled injustice, felt the weight of divine judgment. The permanent secretary survived, but he was left with a terminal illness that slowly drained him day by day. The roadside markets grew silent. The traders kept their distance from the roads, fear etched into their hearts. Yet Sango was not done. One by one, all who had touched Saakin's life with malice began to face their own reckoning. There were no bribes, no sacrifices, no shortcuts to escape it. Sango had taken the case personally. And the God of Thunder does not forget. Thank you for watching. Please like, leave us your comments and subscribe for more stories on Dark Africa Revenge. We love you all.